Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. This is a special Toxically Masculine Tuesday edition of the News Roundtable, the only one worth watching on the internet. I'm your host, Mike Barrett, in Las Vegas, Nevada, fighting a bunch of drugs, fighting a sinus infection, feeling like shit. Let me just
He is treating us like total shit. We were having a conversation.
I'm going to shoot you in the face again. Shut up, you bitch. I'm going to shoot you in the face again.
Right there.
Steroids. You're just asking for it. I'm on steroids. Let me just say one thing. If I should go into a spastic coughing fit during the show, I'm going to try to shut down my camera and my audio. Brooks or Blake, you have my permission to take over hosting while I go through that. And let me just assure you, it will be far more painful for me to feel than it will be for you to watch. Just a warning. All right, joined as I am, as always, by the usual Tuesday crew. This is the first time I felt good enough to even sit up in the last 4 or 5 days. To my immediate right, stage left, Dr. Brooks Agnew, the smartest man on the planet. Brooks, how you doing, and how much shit did you move today?
Well, we're in the final stretch on the house. The drywall crew is coming tomorrow, so everybody has to be ready for race day. This is where we shit and get it. I mean, the next 6 days, the whole interior is going to transform.
Awesome. All right, and then immediately below Brooks, kitty corner to me, the man who just won't shut up, the guy who just tried to get in my face there a minute ago, and I'm just warning you, I'm going to shoot you in the face again. Steve Doran, trail boss, a man who once survived being shot in the face by Mike Barra. Well, Steve, how you doing?
As you know, as you can see, I'm sitting here shaking in fear. Don't know what to do. Don't know where to go. So, hopefully when I'm sleeping in the middle of the night, you won't sneak in and take me out. But if you do, you're the only guy I would allow to do it.
Yeah, well, thank you. And if I had to spend 10 years alone, in a Turkish prison, I would want you to be my roommate. There's no homo on that. And that really hurt. Immediately below me, the producer, the man who comes up with the cool graphics and super cool stuff, the overall stud, the owner of the hottest strip club in Nashville, Tennessee, TV's Blake Wally. Blake, how you doing? You had a show earlier today, probably talking about a lot of these same issues, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much mostly centered on World War III potentialities. Yeah, the bit of the day. But it's great to be here, doing well, and I'm looking forward to tonight's broadcast.
I think I'm gonna have to keep the volume down on my speaking. That I think is what triggered the coughing fit there. So. Oh God! You ever go through the phase where your ribs are so sore from coughing and
yes,
it just sucks.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So it's a sinus infection. It sucks, but I am on the mend. All right, I don't know. Where do you guys want to start? How about we start at maybe World War III. Let's start with World War III. Catch up on everything going on there, and check out what's going on at this hour. In Tehran, Iran. Let's see what's going on there. Something's blowing up. Okay, cool. We got that. Iranians are shouting from rooftops, death to Khomeini, death to the tyrants. At least that's what they say they're saying. All right. Did we lose Steve?
Briefly, yeah.
There he is. There's Steve's back. All right, so we got that going on. Then we have a bunch of other developments today, including this one. Supposedly, what they hit was an Iranian missile launching facility got taken out in that latest attack just a couple of hours ago. Following up on that, the Iranians issued a warning today, and their warning was there will be a surprise tonight that the world will remember for centuries. Right now, the Israeli Security Cabinet is meeting, trying to determine the next steps in the war against Iran. Let's take a quick report.
Hey, Greg, good afternoon. Right now, the Israeli Security Cabinet is meeting, trying to determine the next steps in the war against Iran. It comes as the region waits to see if the United States will get more directly involved. Today, we saw Iranian ballistic missiles targeting cities across Israel, sending millions of people to bomb shelters. But Israel continues its offensive against Iran, not only targeting positions around the capital of Tehran, but taking out ballistic missile launchers near the Isfahan nuclear facility. The IDF telling Fox News today that around 40% of those missile launchers have been taken out. Now, I spoke earlier with an Israeli pilot who's been running many of these operations across Iranian territory. He said that the missions will continue and that Israel was able to take out much of the air defense around the Iranian capital, giving this country the ability to strike where and when they please. The Israelis have not yet gone after Iranian political leadership, but officials are telling me tonight everything remains on the table as the region braces for more days of war ahead. Greg?
Thanks, Trey. Be safe. So President Trump is now facing a big...
Okay, so that's kind of where things are at right now. Steve, I know you have some idea of what you think the surprise announcement is going to be. The big surprise from the Arabs tonight, big surprise from the country of Iran tonight is going to be. Why don't you tell everybody what you think it's going to be?
Well, I think that they're going to start using massive quantities of deodorant and shampoo so that the world no longer has to deal with their stench.
Yeah, and a little toothpaste, maybe some toothpaste.
What's that?
Maybe some toothpaste too.
I'm not hearing you, buddy.
Okay, forget it then.
Toothpaste.
I guess I just had a fatwa put out against me, and I can't hear anybody.
All right, go ahead.
But anyway, no, the reality is they're going to talk about they're going to strike in some place at some time that's going to just be the most horrific thing that the world has ever seen. I mean, we've heard that before. And then we go in and carpet bomb them for a while, and then they go, please, please leave us alone. We will use deodorant. We will brush our teeth. We will comb our hair. And that's typically how it works.
That's all you think is going to happen. There's a little more.
They're going to
footage.
make a threat. They're going to make a threat that nobody gives a shit. I mean, if they were going to do something, why would you threaten? You know, that's what I mean. All of these freaking idiots come out and they go, "We are going to make an announcement that will end the world as we know it." And then, well, then just make the announcement. Just do it then. They never do it.
Yeah. Yep. They never do it. All right. How do I do this? Okay. So let's recap a little bit about what's happened since we were together last. Missile strikes by Israel on Iran. Return missile strikes by Iran on Israel. And then what's happened is Israel keeps sending more and Iran sends less and less and less. And they keep telling us, oh, Iran still has 1,800 ballistic missiles to fire at Israel. Oh yeah? Where are those? Because they aren't in the sky.
And how do you know? How do you know they have 1,800?
Yeah, and they keep hitting these things more and more. More. Hang on a second, Brooks. I'm going to get to you because you're the main guy here. They keep hitting these guys more and more. They keep grinding them down. They also have killed. They killed the whole top 5 Iranian military leaders, and then the guy who replaced him, they killed him today. So now they're killing the replacements. And then Trump tweeted out, "Okay, Mr. Khamenei, we know exactly where you are. We know exactly where you're hiding. Use that information as you will." And then we're going to get to the Shah of Iran here in a minute. But Brooks, what's your assessment of the military situation right now? To my mind, it looks like Iran has pretty much fired what they can. Russia has said, "We're not helping you. We're not stepping in to help you." And there's some more detail on this from some of the Arab countries. But what do you think is going on militarily right now?
Well, there are 3 things to keep in mind. Number one is the proxies are being totally silent.
Mm-hmm.
They're not saying nothing. They're not launching anything. They're staying out of the way. The second thing is that the Ayatollah is alive tonight because Donald Trump wants him alive. Donald Trump is the only man on planet Earth that's keeping the Ayatollah Khomeini alive at this point. And the third thing is, it doesn't matter if they have 80,000 ballistic missiles. If there's no place to launch them, you can't shoot them. And that's what the Israelis have been doing, is blowing up the launchers. You can't just launch a ballistic missile. This is a missile that goes up into space, separates, and then comes down at about Mach 7. That's why you see the pictures. They're way faster than the ones you see meandering through the sky that the Iron Dome can take care of. They know they have the rockets. They know they have the ballistic missiles, but they've been blowing up the launchers. Those are the 3 things you need to pay attention to. The big surprise is that they're going to try to shut down the Straits of Hormuz. And I say, do it. Because once they do it, the United States will replace Iran's oil supply, pick up all those customers, and Iran will dry up and blow away in the desert. And those screams that you hear are Persian women who have been praying for 50 years that these turban-headed fuckers die.
Okay, I guess we get what we're gonna get from Dr. Brooks on that one. TV's Blake Wally, you did a show earlier on this. What do you think about what's going on in the situation? And again, I got to ask the question: who's to blame here? Because you have the "We Hate Israel" crowd and the "We Hate Netanyahu" crowd. And okay, I understand that. That's fine. And then you have the "We Hate the Iranian regime" Muslim crowd. And here's the reality. And Donald Trump, I believe, is trying to push through something called Nasara or Jassara. And he gave them 60 days.
Say that again.
He's trying to push through something called Jassara or Nasara. And Iran was pretty much the last holdout on this agreement worldwide, as I understand it. And that's often woo-woo land. But he said, look, I gave him 60 days, Blake. 60 days to do a deal. They didn't do a deal, and on the 61st day, he allowed Israel to go ahead and take out their nuclear weapons, which the Israelis wanted to do. Now, the Israelis, before I get to you, Blake, are not the only ones who did not want Iraq or Iran to get a nuclear weapon. There were plenty of other people who didn't want that in other Arab countries. Let's take a quick listen to, I believe it's Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi crown prince. Let's take a look at what he said to 60 Minutes the other night.
I don't know if you got the share screen on, Mike. Mike, is the share screen on? Where is it? All right.
The Ayatollah.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project in the Middle East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened happened. I don't want to see the same events happening in the Middle East.
Does Saudi Arabia need nuclear weapons to counter Iran?
Saudi Arabia does not want to acquire any nuclear bomb. But without a doubt, if Iran developed a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible.
Okay. If that isn't pretty intimidating, I really don't know what is. He basically, I think
nobody on the planet wants radical Islam to obtain nuclear weapons. And the way that they are going to obtain them now is by the pussification of Europe. And so the way that they're going to get them is by taking over the UK, France, who already have those weapons in their possession. And that's how they're going to get them, because they constantly push, shove, and take over the government like piece by piece, and pretty soon they'll have them. But it won't be from a Middle Eastern country. It'll be from Europe.
Okay, Blake. Now, so not so seriously. The Arab countries, isn't it likely possible that the Arab countries really are happy that Israel is doing their dirty work for them? Because Qatar doesn't want the Iranians to have a nuke. The Saudis made it clear. The Jordanians today started shooting down Iranian missiles going over their country heading for Israel. They haven't overtly come out and said we're taking Israel's side on this, but they've basically said, okay, Israel, if you want to completely take out their nuclear capability and then go to the next step, which we'll talk about in a minute, who's the bad guy? Do you see anybody? Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? I know on Gaza you were in the sloppy middle there. What do you think? What do you think about all this? And isn't it possible that Israel's just been put to the task, and the other Arab countries are not interfering because they want to get rid of these guys?
It's an interesting theory, and that could very well be plausible. So yeah, they fight amongst each other too. And it could be one of those things. Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so they're willing to let that go. And I'm sure nobody really likes Iran, and no one's really going to be excited to see them have a nuclear weapon. It's just a wondering, about the timing, because we've heard the script for 40 years that they're on the verge of, having a nuclear weapon and we have to get involved. So, which I don't like the idea that Bibi went ahead and preemptively, attacked them and created this and made it into a larger conflict. I would like to see more proof. I would like to see more debate on that. But that was, very interesting to see the Saudi prince or leader come out and say that. So that is an interesting angle. So it's a very complex issue. So we just don't want to see the war happen. But
anybody else want to chime in on this one, Brooks? Do you agree with Blake?
Sort of. It's not really Iran, and in some respects, it's not even the Shia, because you got Sunni and you got Shia Muslims. It's the mullahs. If Iran was allowed to be Persia again, allowed to be the brilliant, smart, metropolitan country that it is, it's the size of freaking Alaska, for crying out loud. It's bigger than Texas. It has borders with 6 different countries that are over 1,000 miles long. It's a big country. And I think the Persians are very smart, very dynamic people. I've worked with several of them. They're great people. But the mullahs have ruled that country with an iron fist, have oppressed the women, abused the children, and basically stolen all their money to try to get a nuclear weapon so they can destroy Israel.
With the help of the American CIA, who brought down the Shah of Iran because they wanted an enemy in the Middle East. I mean, I knew some guys I worked with at Boeing back in the early 70s, late 70s. Ray Noorani was one of them. Ray, if you're out there, I still remember you, buddy. Great soccer player, and a couple of other guys, and they were completely westernized. They were Persian guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
They weren't Muslims. They were like, I'm like, man, he goes, one time we got drunk after a game, and he's like, man, Tehran, Iran used to be the most swinging town. Man, it was just great. They want to be westernized again. I know my chiropractor, Dr. Sarah in Redondo Beach, she's the daughter of immigrants who came over when the Shah was overthrown. And they want their country back. They want back their national identity, their Persian identity. That's absolutely what they want. So that brings us to the next step. Now the question is, are we going to get it? Let's take a look at what the son of the Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, had to say today about the Islamic Republic?
My compatriots, the Islamic Republic has reached its end and is falling. Like a frightened rat, Khamenei has gone underground and lost control of events. What has begun is irreversible. The future is bright, and together we will navigate this sharp turn in history. In these difficult days, my heart is with every defenseless citizen who has been harmed and has fallen victim to Khamenei's warmongering and delusions. For years I have tried to spare our homeland the flames of war. The end of the Islamic Republic. It is the end of its 46-year war with the Iranian nation. The regime's machinery of repression is disintegrating. All that is needed is one nationwide uprising to end this nightmare forever. Now is the time to stand, the time to reclaim Iran. All of us, from Bandar Abbas to Bandar Anzali, from Shiraz to Isfahan, from Tabriz to Zahedan, from Mashhad to Ahwaz, from Shahri-Khord to Kermanshah, come to the streets and bring this regime to its conclusion.
Okay, he went on after that, but that's basically.
Okay, well, this is something he did a couple days ago,
just
right?
today, I believe. And
no, because I saw some of.
I don't know. It might have been yesterday, but I believe this was today. You also have Donald Trump talking about maybe we need to just have a regime change, and you certainly had Benjamin Netanyahu explicitly saying we need to get rid of these people. Assad fled during the uprising. Assad fled to Russia. Putin, I believe, I understand it. There's stories that Putin is being brought in to negotiate Khamenei's removal from Iran and repatriation to Russia, giving them a safe haven if they will give up. I think it's teetering on the brink. It seems like all it needs really is for the people to get into the streets, lose their fear, create a mob. And I don't know if that's going to happen. But Brooks, what do you think? Do you think there's a really good chance that this will actually happen, that we'll finally get rid of these murderers?
Yeah, they've had demonstrations in 66 cities across Iran for almost a year, but the press will not play it. I have friends that are over there, and they're saying women are in the streets, in dresses, dancing. They want the end of these mullahs, and they're also sensing their weakness because they're not coming out with the hijab police and beating the women for dancing in the streets in mini dresses. They're losing their power. I mean, Khomeini's 86 years old. Jimmy, give away Panama Canal Carter, put him in power, and let him hold our hostages for 444 days. And they've been in power ever since. And now they're...
Yeah. Don't we know where he lives? Can't we just send a freaking...
That was Khomeini, but here's the thing, Stephen, that's really interesting. Yes, Trump tweeted out or truthed out exactly that we know exactly where you are. He is forbidding Netanyahu. So there is U.S. involvement in this, Blake. It is correct that we are involved in this. We are not engineering this. We basically, after 60 days, Trump said, you didn't sign the deal. Okay, Israel, go do your thing. But we are forbidding them from killing Khamenei. Not Khomeini was the guy, the mullah back in 79. But this is one of his successors or his only, I don't remember. But we've forbidden him from doing that because Trump still wants to make a deal with him. Because Trump wants to be the big guy who made the deal and closed everything down. And then he's going to go in and economically develop Iran, or Persia. We should just call it Persia. So
let's just chop them up with machetes and mix them with pig shit and throw them out in the middle of the road.
Yeah. So right now, most of the senior Iranian military and intelligence leadership is looking desperately for their 72 virgins. They haven't found them yet. But I think Blake, that's what's going on. Is that excuse me. That Trump is holding them back on killing this guy because they can't make a deal for them to leave if he's dead. They have to start negotiating over again with somebody new. So I don't see the everybody, all the fake MAGA Twitter today was like, oh, he's going to get it. Trump's going to get us into World War III. This is not what we voted for. We don't want. But to my mind, Trump hasn't done anything to escalate United States into this war.
Nothing. Not one thing has been done to escalate us into any kind of world war. It's more Democrat propaganda, more little crybabies out there who need their little
Lindsey Graham notwithstanding.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham. Yeah, jizz.
Yeah, sitting there crying and whining. They need their little pecker pacifier in their mouth, so that they can be or not be humbled, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Blake, what do you think? I mean, how do you feel about to my mind, I think the United States is staying out of it right now for the most part, other than rhetoric, and Trump is just waiting to make the deal so he can say, I made another deal. What do you think's going on there?
I mean, I'd love it if we could, instead of like a military victory, we could go for that cultural victory, right? And then take down the Ayatollah and replace him with somebody else. But, we meddled back there in 1953 and with British intelligence and the CIA to overthrow Mossadegh, that's when they were at their height there, when they were that westernized civilization. And we took that away from them and put in the Shah so we could, control their oil. But then the Shah was overthrown by the people, and they put in this religious wacko.
The Shah was overthrown.
Yeah, he was overthrown by Jimmy Carter and CIA. I have to disagree with you on that because he wanted to keep more of Iran's own oil revenues, and that was a big problem. But
either way, we've meddled in there a bunch of times. I don't think they trust us. I don't know if we can put regime changes is very dangerous. It hasn't worked out very well. But if there's some way we can liberate the people out there, that would be the ideal scenario, and then they could.
Well, I mean, the people. If you looked at Iran back in the day when Jimmy Carter turned it back over to the Ayatollah, it was exactly like the Western world. They had General Dynamics had big facilities there. I believe Boeing had facility there. What's that, bud? They all. I mean, and they had regular nightclubs, restaurants, vehicles, you name it. It was like a normal. You could fly there, and other than the color of those people's skin, you could operate just like you could in any other Western.
The Persians, by the way, are Caucasian. They're just tanned because they live in the Middle East. But Persia is Caucasian, so it's not Arab.
Well, they are, but they are darkened by the people coming in, rape, robbing, and taking.
The reason they're called Iran is because the Shah, at the time that Adolf Hitler was rising to power, was so impressed with Adolf Hitler and his parades and everything, he changed the name of Persia to Iran, which means Aryan.
Aryan, yep, it does, and that's really interesting. So, all right. Where do we think this goes from here? I have my own theories on where it goes from here. Let's start with you, Brooks. What do you think the next step in this is?
Well, the next step has got to be trade. It has to be international trade. Iran, the country of Persia, wants to trade with the world. And they have all kinds of products that they make there. Mm-hmm. They can't do it because the mullahs suppress all that and suck the life out of the country so they can build a weapon to kill Israel. That's their purpose.
Okay. Steve, what do you think is next happening in this situation with World War III?
To be honest with you, I really don't know. I think it's going to involve lots of guns, bullets, and bombs. But I can't be sure of that. But that is my take, that they're gonna give them some time. A threat's going to be made, and then there's going to be just a loose of huge bombs and weapons in their direction.
Blake, what do you think is the next phase in this so-called war that's not really a war?
Yeah, well, I hope you're correct there, and that they lost their launch pads and they're unable to shoot ballistic missiles or do whatever they're planning on their little surprise announcement tonight, because that could be devastating since they're kind of cornered and could pull something desperate if they wanted to. Hopefully, they will not, and we don't want to see anything escalate any further. And the United States is standing by, but they've said, well, we're not going to get involved unless they attack somebody in our base. I'm, of course, nervous about false flags that could drag us into a war because we won't get all the facts, and then something will happen and it'll get the people on their side to get involved into another war, which we don't need after, especially after Afghanistan and Iraq. So that's my biggest concern there, and I don't want to see Trump get taken in with he's got too many neocons around him. I'm a little bit skeptical of his alliance, and I don't want him to. I don't want his legacy to get ruined if he gets dragged into a conflict like Afghanistan again.
Yeah, well, what bothers me about the idea of regime change, I like the idea, but what bothers me about it is it's what Lindsey Graham wants. And if that little light in the loafers war pig wants it, I don't see how it's good for the world. So am I wrong about that, Brooks?
Well, I don't think it needs to come through violence. I think, during Trump's first term, Iran was in check. They were broke. He had sanctioned them. He had their money hidden. They really couldn't do anything. When Obama was president, he shoveled the money to them. He's the one that loosened the sanctions. And when Virtual Joe and his gang of criminals took power again, they shoveled the money to Iran, and back up the regime came. They are now in check. I think this whole thing can be solved economically. They're already cut off from the world.
So you don't believe that Biden left them enough money to do with what they need to do?
All those accounts are frozen. They can't buy anything. No one's buying Iranian oil. They're basically shut down. Their days are over.
Then you and I and Mike should be able to go with our handguns and take them out.
Yeah, logically.
Well, I don't think that is that you don't have to kill off these people to have regime change.
No.
You can squeeze them out where they just become irrelevant.
Well, that's the thing, is that also if they've taken out most of the launchers, if that's really what they're focused on, and they can no longer launch against Israel, then they can just little by little, bit by bit, destroy the ballistic missiles. And once those are gone, the threat is completely over. But I agree with you, Brooks. By the way, Adam Carolla posted this today. Letterman should probably lay low for the next few weeks just to be safe. I thought that was outstanding. So my position on this is that I agree with you, I guess, Brooks. They're going to make a deal. I think by the end of the week, they will make a deal. The deal will be that Khomeini and the mullahs and the Revolutionary Guard will go, that a new government will come in, probably led by the son of the Shah, by Reza Pahlavi. It may be a constitutional monarchy for a while. It may be a new republic, but it will usher in a new era of freedom. They will demilitarize, and basically everybody in the Middle East will go off singing Kumbaya. I don't think we're going to get into a war. But I did find it really interesting, Blake, how quickly some people pretending that they were MAGA just turned on Trump when he hasn't done anything. There's only, he made a big deal in I don't understand the G7 thing. Well, I've got to leave right away. And there's a big meeting in the Situation Room. Well, as I understand it, that meeting was between State Department types who were part of negotiations, not military types were not brought in. So doesn't that indicate that it was really just about negotiating a new deal with Iran, that maybe Iran had indicated, okay, we're ready to talk. But also, don't we have the situation now where it's like Trump is pretending to escalate, but he's not escalating anything. Is he really?
No.
I don't see any escalation whatsoever. I see more de-escalation than I do escalation, and if not that, basically just sitting on the fence, stand in the middle of the road, waiting to see what happens.
Well, you do have the USS Nimitz that's kind of moving over into the theater. That puts about 96 naval fighter jets within striking distance of just about everything that's
But
important.
just having it there doesn't mean they're going to, I mean, how many times have we
agree.
done that? I mean, it doesn't
I
mean we're
agree.
going to use it. You know, you don't see them putting birds in the air, flying around, checking out choice targets that could be hit in the future.
Yeah, but I don't support U.S. military being used in any of these operations at all. Blake, do you?
No, I think at first they were just kind of using them defensively to protect Israel from missiles, and that was it. So as long as there's no offensive action by either side, then hopefully they'll stay out of it and negotiate somehow.
Well, there's not much anyone can do about ballistic missiles. There really is no defense against them.
Okay, well, even Iron Dome, Golden Dome. Okay, so this weekend we had on Saturday No King's Day. A bunch of retards protesting around the country, the vast majority of whom were paid. Some, like people who shall remain nameless, Alejandro Rojas, who are just so fucking retarded they actually think that Trump is the bad guy. That's how fucking stupid you are, Alejandro.
I'm so glad you got to this because I don't understand this at all. This is the stupidest thing.
You know,
I don't understand. I mean, people start talking to me about it, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And
so please explain.
Well, okay, so they don't want Trump to become a king, yet what they did, this is my tweet this morning. If you didn't want Trump to be king, you should not have stolen the 2020 election because you gave him every reason to come back and seek all the power because it's exactly what you're going to get. And again, I see the historical comp for Trump to be Caesar. And he's clearing up this entire mess. And then guess what on top of that, guys? Guess what on top of that? Today, FBI Director Kash Patel said the FBI has located documents which detail alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including allegations of interference by the CCP. I have immediately declassified the material and turned the documents over to Chairman Grassley for further review. Now, some people say that Congress is where investigations go to die, that they want to cover this up. But I found it interesting that now Kash Patel has come out today and said, we're going to investigate apparently the 2020 election, and hopefully there's lots of other investigations going. Brooks, let's start with you. What did you think about No King's Day? I mean, there was an impressive number of people in the streets, only in the deepest blue cities where they have the largest infrastructure and the most money to pay out these people. And the Trump parade was, a very poor turnout. But I think under the circumstances, nobody wanted to really risk their families if there was going to be trouble, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's probably it too. Plus, it was raining, and a lot of people didn't want to take their families out in the rain. But as far as the riots go, there were 26 permitted riots across the country. Every single solitary one of them was violent, and people were arrested for throwing fireworks and bottles and burning things. Every single one was violent, regardless of what the press tells you. Now, trying to get something organized like that takes a lot of money. Well, the organization to put the money up is called 50501. 50 protests in 50 states in one day. Mm-hmm. And it is run and funded by the UN. The UN is the one that put on these riots across the country. And they're the ones that came up with the marketing. I've been to their website. You can print out all the banners. It shows you how to organize. It shows you how to advertise. And there's money, lots of it. So that's what it was about. It was a UN.
Why didn't you ask for some money, Brooks? And then we could have went and been the opposing side.
Yeah, Trump
went after the rioters.
The best thing to do is to let them spend their money and let them march and don't give them any airtime at all.
I want to get into it. I'm turning into Mike. I want to shoot them with rubber buckshot. I want to take and have exploding rubber canisters and canisters that just burn their ass. I want to be a participant on the other side. So get us a grant.
Yeah.
Don't you think it would be fun to shatter testicles with rubber bullets?
Yeah, yes. I was going to go to the testicles guy next. Buddy, let's give your your left testicle a nice resting place. Okay? Let's put it right down next to that parakeet of yours that died 20 years ago. Bury it next to him.
Yep. Hang a tea bag off your gun barrel for every single one you get.
Yeah. Okay, so Steve, do you think you now grasp what No King's Day was? It was just a organized libtard protest designed to undermine the 250th anniversary parade for the U.S. Army, which shows more by their
like I said, I mean, to me, none of it makes any sense whatsoever. I've been trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to figure out why the youngest child of Walton, who owns Walmart, paid $250 million and had all these, front page ads run and all of these ads placed in the store. And I'm like, none of this makes any common sense to me at all. Or, why anyone at that level, that wealthy, would get involved in any of this. Even if they gave the money, right, to have it done, that they would actually come out on the front line and say, yeah, I did this.
Yeah, and the riots and the protests, they've tracked all the money. We know they all came from a few Democrat billionaires. Why are we not taking them out? Blake, any thoughts about the No King's Day rallies versus the Trump parade rally? And the people are trying to say it's a sign that MAGA is weakening. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think either one of them went all that great. The good news, I heard something like the IRS is even going to be looking at, not that I have any love for the IRS, but they're going to be scrutinizing who's making these payments to who's funding these rallies. So that is a problem. It's ridiculous. I think the Babylon Bee nailed it the best. Trump is the king, says the people protesting in a free country. So people just make stuff up.
I think what makes a Trump rally is Trump. So if you're going to have a rally, you have to have Trump there. So if Trump says, "Hey, I'm going to New York, I'm going to Detroit, wherever it is," millions of people will show up.
Now, Stephen Leister is telling us that the Iranians, I guess Iran's central bank has been hacked and there's no access to money. That'll bring about protests pretty darn fast. So, all right, couple of other news updates.
If you see an Arab and he wants to buy a camel or camel milk and he can't get money out of his bank account, you watch what happens, Michael. Watch what happens.
I need to buy my camel some milk. Okay. Kristi Noem was taken to the hospital today. Some say rushed to the hospital. Apparently, it was an allergic reaction. Nothing too serious. They gave her some, what is it? Benadryl or something to keep the anaphylactic shock from taking place. But Tulsi Gabbard was sort of basically Trump's. They said Tulsi Gabbard said that Iran doesn't have any nuclear weapons, but he said, well, she wasn't right about that. So let's show quickly the exchange between Tulsi Gabbard in Congress and then what Donald Trump said about it.
Cyber operations and capabilities also present a serious threat to U.S. networks and data. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program. In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons. Cyber operation.
So then, of course, we have the update that they did start producing nuclear weapons. So did Trump throw Tulsi Gabbard under the bus, Blake, or have things just changed since she reported that in March?
It's possible. I mean, he didn't sound too convinced anyway, but it was kind of like, well, Bibi already went ahead and did it. So I guess now we're just going to we're on the verge. And he's not going to, call them out and say, hey, this is BS. Bibi shouldn't have done this. He can't do that. So he's in an odd spot there. But I don't know, because that was part of the reason that people were criticizing Trump, because he was perceived as throwing Tulsi under the bus or attacking Tucker Carlson. Meanwhile, he's embracing Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. So that is, we're trying to look out, and we're trying to, avoid World War III, and we're trying to avoid some of the mistakes from the first term, which was letting these neocon snakes, these vipers, just, encircle Trump and convince him to do their work instead of things that are best for America. So yeah, we're always going to be vigilant of that. I don't know if anyone wants to criticize Trump, but it's good that also that people are sticking to principles rather than just blindly going along with everything. But everything needs to be scrutinized right now, because this is really high stakes. It concerns everybody, our entire civilization. So we have to get this one right, and we don't want to jump into anything, I would think, unless, yes, it's a sure thing. I would like to see more evidence of everything they're trying to present.
Yeah, Mark Levin is an Israeli shill. Any thoughts on any of that, Brooks?
Yeah, the main thing is this is the difference between a republic and a fascist bureaucracy. When the Bush family was in power, you had the fascists, you had all the neocons basically make the case that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and they have to be taken out. And so the bureaucracy took over, and that's what happened. And Halliburton made, I don't know how much it made, but it was a lot. What makes America special, and George Washington understood this better than anybody, is a strong executive. You can't bully Trump into doing anything. You'll get him right up to the edge, and then he'll say, now, how many people are going to die if we launch this? 15, Mr. President. We're not doing it. Don't do it. That's the executive. That's the powerful executive. No one knows what he's going to do, and that's the power of America.
Okay. Steve, any thoughts on any of this as we...
Negative. I think it has been well covered, sir.
All right. Guys, there's a whole million things that we could cover here, but I'm pretty wiped out. And I want to get to one last thing that I think I need Brooks's expertise at. There was a plane crash Thursday before I left for Massachusetts, and it was I think it was Air India aircraft, and a 787, and it certainly didn't look normal. There were reports that the incoming flight, as it was incoming on the same aircraft, there were massive electronic problems. Video has emerged. We're going to show the video here in a second. One of the videos that makes it appear to me that the flaps were not down the way they should have been to create lift for the aircraft. There may also have been a catastrophic power loss because the air turbine, the backup emergency power supply door popped off, which indicates they were trying to restart everything. But let's watch this, and then Brooks, I'd like to get your thoughts.
They had obviously way too many rats in the storage unit.
Yeah, the only other thing I can think of is that there was a bird strike and both engines went out. That's all I can think of. So let's try it. Let's take a look at this video. Now, Brooks, let's freeze it here just for a second when I share it.
You can't see it on the screen.
If you look at this, you look at the wings. The wings should be curved. The leading edge slats should be extended, and the flaps should be extended, creating a curvature which creates more lift in the early portion of the flight before the plane is up to speed. That's wrong. I'm just going to tell you, I'm not even a pilot. I'm an engineer, aerospace engineer. That's wrong. But let's watch what happened, because I believe we're going to see the door for the emergency turbine pop off, but I'm not positive. So let's watch it. I mean, it sounds like the engines were on.
Stalled.
And then they go silent.
They actually had onboard video. recorded.
Yeah, see that door.
The Facebook took it down.
What's that? They had onboard video and Facebook.
Yeah, the onboard video recorded all the way down until Facebook took it down all the way to the ground.
So, Brooks, I'm trying to figure out what this is. It sounds like from that video, you can see that the flaps and leading edge slats are not in the correct position. That there's people saying, well, the landing gear lever button and the flap button are right next to each other, and he might have pushed the wrong button, retracting the flaps instead of retracting the landing gear. But it sounds like the engines stopped because you can hear them, and then they stop, and then you see the door pop off for the emergency turbine where they were apparently trying to restart everything. There's an air inlet that allows air to come into this emergency turbine thing. Well, what do you think based on what you've seen?
Well, I've been in this situation a couple times when I was flying. On a really hot, dry day, when you got a very heavy load, you can tell because the wings are curved up like this. It means there's a lot of weight in that airplane, full of gas, full of people. If you don't have your flaps down, you can't get the lift. Now, when a 777 takes off, it does about a 35-degree climb out because altitude is your friend. But it couldn't turn the nose up because it was stalling. It was trying to climb, but it did not have the airspeed to climb. There was not enough lift. You're right. The flaps were not extended. The landing gear should have been up as soon as they cleared the runway. The landing gear should have been up. That reduces the drag and allows the plane to pick up speed. But none of that happened. The thing that bothers me is the 777, all that stuff is automated. The pilots don't really have control of that. There's a takeoff program that runs the aircraft up to 10,000 feet. That didn't happen. Something went wrong with that airplane.
It's electronics. I think it's definitely electrical system because, again, there's video of the guy showing everything blinking out as they were coming in for a landing. And, I think he felt like it was a miracle they landed. And, again, this is typical of foreign airlines. We'll just put it back up. It's fine. Don't worry about it. They're not going to. No, we'll miss our next flight if we don't.
Human life means nothing to them. Nothing.
Yeah.
And in fact, there was a guy who did a video just prior. He had hooked himself a first-class seat on a Indian airline. And prior to this video going up, he was showing how horrific it was, how things were falling apart, how things like during flight were literally dismantling themselves and falling in the floor.
Yeah.
And then this video came out. So
they don't buy new aircraft. And Mike knows this. They buy half-time aircraft. These are airplanes that have flown half their hours, and India buys them at a discount. They don't buy new airplanes.
I mean, their thing is, it's just like
Christian. I wonder. Wait a minute, Hellwig. I wonder how you know that because it sounded like in that video that the engines clearly stopped running, and that's when the plane started to set. It wasn't gaining altitude anyway.
No,
but then it sounded like the engines shut off, and I'll play it again. Then it starts to descend, and the rat door pops off.
Was it landing or was it taken off?
It was taken off.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. The landing gear should not have been down. The flap should have been fully extended. I was in India one time, Nepal, flying in a Shorts 360, and the side glass was all etched out. You couldn't even see out them. I had to go up into the cockpit to see where we were going, and that had new glass, but the sides did not have any new glass.
Yeah, let's watch this video again because I'm pretty sure the engines were shut down here. Let's listen. And then it starts to descend. You're going to see the door. See that? That's the door from the.
That noticeably went quiet. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, pretty tragic. You heard them when you raised the volume, or we heard something. I don't know what it was, but it definitely sounds like it sounds to me like there was a major shift in the engine's output. Like they either went into idle or they just stopped. It might have gone into idle. You can hear the rat propeller. It also could have been the rat propeller. Yeah, the rapid.
That plane's supposed to be able to take off with one engine, fully loaded.
Yeah, well,
one engine. It's way overpowered.
It could, if the flaps were fucking down. But the flaps were down.
Right.
So, I don't know. Bad news. All right, guys. Any other issues you wanted to talk about tonight before Mike goes and crawls into bed for the rest of the night?
Have you guys heard anything about XRP lately? I heard some rattling that a couple of nations were getting ready to use XRP as their clearing crypto, their transactional crypto.
I have heard this as well. There were XRP and Ripple advertisements at JFK yesterday when I was there, which was kind of interesting. They were heavily advertising it, but nothing announced yet. That is all waiting on the financial reset, and the financial reset, guys, is not going to happen. This is your RV news. It's not going to happen until an Iran deal is done. That, I think, is what we're waiting for anything to happen.
What?
An Iran deal.
A deal with Iran is done I think now, I think Trump. What Trump was saying with his 60 days thing, Blake, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, was, look, you had 60 days to make a deal and stay in power. Now the deal is you have to go. The only thing you can save now is your life. You can save your life and move to Russia, but there's going to be a new sheriff in town, and your whole regime is gone. Your nuclear weapons program is gone. And that's the deal you're going to have to make. So I think now we're waiting on them to agree to that or to commit political and, personal suicide.
I hope you're right. This is a peaceful solution for this. That would be great for everybody if that's possible. As long as we don't get dragged into this thing, then
I'm all for peaceful solutions, but I'm also for crushing these terrorist bastards' heads on the pavement till they splatter.
Yeah, if Trump can get a deal done between all these nations, including Iran and Israel, then more power to him. But I'm tired of waiting.
I want, this is the thing. I'm halfway joking here, but I'm sick and tired. I don't care about peaceful anymore. I'm sick and tired of these criminals getting away with what they're getting away with. Like, nobody going to prison, nobody given the death penalty, none of these foreign countries that have committed these atrocities against the U.S. and other nations being held accountable for what they've done, and it's making me sick. So screw their peace, smush them like a freaking bug into a million pieces, take everything they fucking own, and move on, because I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want peace. I only want peace at the point of retribution.
Sword, point of a sword. Don't mince words, Bones. Tell us what you really think. Tell me what you really think. That's James T. Kirk.
That's how I feel. I'm sick of it. It's like, why should they get any quarter? Why should somebody who bashed babies' heads against the wall to kill them, why should they get any quarter? Who raped women like horrifically, why should they get any quarter?
Some absolutely
American citizens, why should they get anything?
And everybody wants to blame Israel all the time, and they have complicity in this, but the things that have happened in Iran to the women, especially in the last 40 or 50 years, are
women and girls and young boys.
Yep, it's terrible. So good riddance to the Ayatollahs. All right, guys, thank you for being here. I am, as far as I know, coming on with Jen tomorrow on Tell the Truth Wednesday. I'm doing my best. I'm sick. I'm miserable. Somebody asked me earlier, why wasn't I on with Jen yesterday? One, I was on an airplane. Two, I was sicker than a dog. So thanks for hanging in there with me. It was kind of a disjointed show tonight. A lot of stuff going on in the world. A lot of stuff to talk about. Blake, you're going to come back on Thursday with your show, right? Doing another show on Thursday?
Yeah, right? Hopefully, for sure.
Sweet. And Brooks, you're on tomorrow night with
if I survive the drywalling, we'll see.
Survive the drywalling. Steve Dorn will be back. By the way, Steve, thank you for putting me onto that spring mountain water or the mountain spring water, whatever it's called.
That's some good stuff.
I've run out of it, but it definitely tastes better than anything you're going to get filtered.
It tastes good, and there's like a healing feeling after you drink it.
Yeah. Where's Brooks gone? Is Brooks going to get some of the water? They're not a sponsor, Brooks, so if they want to sponsor us, we'll show their product. But
yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth consuming. And the good part that I have is that I'm right on the aquifer here, so I can
Yeah.
Drink it
It's
right
out of
out.
it's out of the same spring. You said basically you get your water from in your well, right?
Yeah. Say like if you were to take glass to glass, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. Now I feel like I can't sign off because I'm waiting for Brooks.
All right. I guess we have to.
Because who doesn't?
Brooks
Who doesn't want to
throwing
see
up.
Brooks? And who doesn't want to see Brooks in a tank top and shorts again? I do personally.
Maybe
Where
he's
is
got his weenie hanging out. Who knows?
The ladies do.
Right.
Deb from Sacramento certainly does.
All right, ladies. How many of us do you want to wait for Brooks to have his weenie hanging out when he comes back?
All right, that's it. Oh, there he is. No,
There he is. There he is.
you thought you were going to get some water or something.
You know,
Brooks.
they had every woman on the broadcast said they wanted to see her weenie hanging out when you.
Yeah, they
come back.
wanted to see your butt again, Brooks. They thoroughly
I
enjoyed
chugged
it.
so
All
much
right,
water today. Now it's all coming out. So.
Oh, that's what was going on. Okay, thank you for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. Pretty sure we'll be back next week. Definitely, I'll be on tomorrow with Jen, or at least I'll be on tomorrow. I don't know if Jen's going to join me or not. I hope so.
Great.
Love you guys.